Thumbnails. Thumbnails. So dramatic. Thumbnails are your best friend. I don't mean thumbnails like your thumbs. No, I mean thumbnails like the little sketches that you do in preparation for an art piece or an animation. And I'm going to show you some of my thumbnails to illustrate what it is that I'm trying to talk about. And I realize I shouldn't look at myself on the screen. I should look at the camera. Yes, eye contact. I looked up thumbnails in the dictionary because I wanted to see if the dictionary would have an art-related definition, and it didn't have an art-related definition, but I found something really lovely. I found some synonyms for the word thumbnail, and those, the ones that I picked out from the synonyms, I think they really describe precisely what thumbnails are. Concise, to the point, crisp, quick, and compact. Those are some great words to describe thumbnails, because it is like a concise, loose way of planning your artwork. It is to the point because when you do the thumbnail, you know exactly what you're trying to achieve. You know exactly what it is you're trying to test. Crisp. I like the word crisp because crisp kind of implies like a freshness, like a fresh energy, because the drawings are loose and they're free. That's what you get from using thumbnails. You get like a fresh energy. You can see exactly what it is you were intending to do with whatever it is you were thumbnailing. How is this helpful? Yes, you can plan a better pose. So with these, I was doing an animation exercise where I had to take a character that already existed. It was Soya from Cats Don't Dance. It was my exercise when I was in France. This was a character that I chose. And I was testing out different poses to use. I was researching, testing out different cat faces, testing out different poses. That's pretty much the size of my thumb. And it was quick. You can see exactly what the character is doing, whether they're sweeping or whether they are stretching or yawning. I'll show you some more example of posing from my sketchbook from third year when I was doing an experimental animation where I was testing some dancing. I had to plan some choreography for a dancer that I was working with, who's a really great dancer. Her name is Gabrielle Botha, and it's much easier to thumbnail the whole thing and see how the sequence is gonna work before I just jump in and do choreography without thinking it through. I was observing a dancer, Lia Kim. I love her. She is fantastic. Also, link in the description. If I'm sitting observing a dancer moving, I can't draw a perfectly detailed image because they're moving really quickly. So I use thumbnails as like notes. I used thumbnails to kind of plan out the sequence. So there you can see I mark the spine in red for the clear action line. And action lines for me, they act as a base for the thumbnail. Then I know the curve of the movement and I can see sharp angles for the arms, the hands, and I can clearly see what I'm doing. Then when I translate it into the final image, the poses are very clear because I had very striking thumbnails before, and so I knew exactly what energy I was looking for. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. This one is really important when it comes to traditional art. In a previous video, I sketched a dancer because I was observing some music videos that were predominantly with dancers. And I used a technique that I learned from another artist. Her name is Juicy Ink. She does little thumbnails of her drawings, and then she tests the colors that she wants to use in her final image on those thumbnails, which I thought was really cool. And I was like, yeah, that's so clever, because sometimes you go in with a traditional art piece, you haven't planned out your colors, you haven't thought out what exactly the final piece is going to look like. So then you end up going in blind, and then sometimes you create something that is like really ugly because you did not plan your colors. So I just feel like draw the thumbnails, test your colors, see which colors you like, and then put them in your final piece. It will work out for the best. From an animation point of view, you can test out to see whether what it is that you are planning on animating is actually going to work. Once again, I was observing Lia Kim. She rocks. And I used thumbnails to plan out the motion, to observe her motion. I don't just use thumbnails for people. I do use them, yes, for life drawing, when I am watching a movie and I'm observing the interactions between people in a movie. But I also use it a lot for design or for storyboarding. And they're really small drawings, and it helped me to just plan out my animation. And then I'll also show you some thumbnails from my graduation production from 4th year. When I was planning out the animation, when I was planning out how the characters were going to move, when I was planning out the shots, that's what you use to plan. Because sometimes you're like, I'm starting my work and I don't know where to start, and I've got this mammoth of work in front of me. So you use thumbnails. That's what you do. You use thumbnails, and they really helped me. If I show you my sketchbook from first year 2013, there are no thumbnails in there. I realized that's kind of the key to helping me to organize my work better in terms of art creation. If I just jump in without first exploring different poses, without testing out colors, without testing different expressions, if I just jump in, then I create images that don't have a lot of life in them. If I use thumbnails, I create images that have a whole lot more life in them. And then also, I create images that are faster to make, because I already went through all the bad ideas. I already went through all the ugly thumbnails and all that. You can use thumbnails in your own way for your own work. The whole point of it is to be concise. It's not beautiful, it's pressure-free, it's loose, and it has a lot of energy, and it's because it's the size of a thumb. So that's what I wanted to share. If you like the video, like it, share it. I'm sure there's somebody who you know who likes art but doesn't know where to start with learning. Do the right thing and subscribe. Thanks. No, I don't want to finish like that. Subscribe. I will see you next time. Okay, but seriously, thumbnails are your best friend. If you are an artist / animator and you don't use thumbnails, that's fine. We all have our own process. But I just feel like when you're starting out and you want to improve, I think thumbnails are a really good idea. Yes.